who's involved in making a show? Well, we talked about the actors. They're certainly involved. The people running the show, okay? Managing all of the props, managing the costumes. You come off stage and you need to get out of these clothes and into something else because the next scene takes place 2 years from now, okay? You got to get these clothes off. They got to go somewhere. That's running crew. That's costume crew, okay? So the running crew during the production of the show is managing all these things. They're not necessarily the people that designed it. They probably aren't the people that designed these props or designed these costumes or designed how the lights were hung. But they manage them, they operate them during the show. They're called running crew. Costume mistress particularly is in charge of all the costumes for the whole show. Stage manager, we talked about that person cueing the show. But essentially once a show opens, it is the stage manager's show. In all aspects, even including how the acting is doing. Believe it or not, you will get notes from the stage manager about whether you've missed lines, but also if you've changed your blocking, even if you've changed your attention significantly. This becomes more significant. You're nodding your head. You've gotten notes from the... About what?
Wait, I was standing on stage and I wasn't from the booth. The stage manager, I was blocked off. Like the audience couldn't see. They were just seeing my side, not my face.
And that's the kind of thing you particularly would get, but you would even get notes like if you radically change a piece of performance. Like suddenly you start getting really pissed off at that moment as opposed to, being quiet and intense. The stage manager might go and say, okay, you really changed your intentionality there. Maybe we need to talk to the director about that. Her job, his job, is to keep that show consistent, and this becomes more of an issue the longer the run. The average run in the professional theater is about a month. Okay? So usually when I do a show, I'm opening it. There'll be a few days of preview, but generally then I'm running it for 4 weeks. Okay? I did a show a couple years ago that just ran for 5 months that's now in New York and probably will run for years. Okay? Sleep No More. So that show is a commercial project. Again, commercial shows will run until people stop coming to them. They stop making money off of them. All right? Creating a show. So we're going to do this, and this is important. This is definitely going to be covered on the test, and I'll try to move through it as quickly as I can, but efficiently. So, creating a show. So we develop the show. The artistic director works with the playwright, chooses a script. They may develop the script. It may be a new script. They're working on it as it goes along. There may be readings of the script away from the production itself to get the script tuned up. Figure out how we want to change the script. Okay? Then we'll start bringing actors, design staff on board for the actual production. A date for the production will be scheduled. Okay? Once we go into rehearsal, the director is really in charge. This may be handled by the artistic director. Okay? The director is in charge. So really the steps once the production begins. Rehearsal is with the production has begun. Production has begun. Okay? So we begin with a read-through, design presentation. That's where the designers come and show us what it is that they're going to do. A model of the set, drawings of the set, swatches of the costume material, what the costumes, maybe drawings of the costumes. Okay? Lighting designer may bring in color swatches, what gel color they're going to use. That's the design presentation. The daily rehearsal is generally 6 days a week we rehearse. Okay? 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, up to opening. While that's going on, the sets, the props, the costumes are being built. The lights are being hung. Okay? When we get close, we go into tech rehearsal. Dry tech, we have a tech where they just work on the technical elements without the actors. That's one night. Wet tech's when we put the actors in, but we stop and start. Run through. Okay? Not the run of the show, the run through. That's a distinction on the test. When I say run of the show, I'm talking once the show opens, how long does it run? I just said 4 weeks is the average run for a non-professional show. A commercial show could run until they run out of money. But the run through is when we run through with everything and see how well we were able to do it. Final dress rehearsal, that's the night before we open. Now, we may open, or we may have what we call a preview. A preview is when we are not officially open, but we are bringing audiences in. Generally, this is a big show, like a big theater like the Huntington will have maybe even several previews to gauge audience reaction, to get reviewers a chance to see the show early so they can write about the show before it officially opens. Okay? Also for comedy, this is particularly important to see if things are working or not. You may think that you are going to get a laugh on that line, and you may not. Okay? So when you start to try to do that, that becomes a really important thing in terms of the timing of the show. So preview, and then we open the show. Okay? And then we run the show. So you're going to want to take a second look at that sequence on your own before you take the quiz. Okay? It may have gotten by you fairly fast just now. And that's a picture of me with somebody pointing a gun at me at Wellesley Harbor Actors Theater. So, important that we clue in to a few words because I'm going to be using them all the time. Production, that's when we're creating a show. Okay? Or the production is the sort of final result of what we have done in rehearsal. Okay? Run, that's when we run the show. That's the show in performance. Okay? Now, obviously there are many variations on this. It's like making anything. If you say, oh, this is the way you make a car, then somebody's going to come and say, well, that's not the way they made the Jaguar. They do it totally different over a Jaguar. Or, that's not the way they make the super, Formula One car. Okay? True. So there are variations on the theme according to specific groups of people that are creating theater. Okay? But I wanted to give you sort of an overview of how these things are done so that you have sort of a touchstone when we're talking about things. This class is not about you knowing all the terminology of the theater. Okay? I want you to have sort of a general sense of terminology so we can talk about things more in terms of how they impact you as an audience member. But we need to have a grip on some basic terms. And you just got pretty much everything you need in that amount of time. Okay? There really isn't a lot more I'm going to ask you to take on. Okay? What we will start talking about in the next get-together is story. And how stories are put together in this medium. That is super important.